Last year, you might have seen TC Chandler's list of the most handsome faces for 2020, of which Pewdiepie, aka Felix came first. TC Chandler, the YouTube channel, comes out with a new list every year, and when the 2020 list came out, there was a lot of controversy around how Pewdiepie got first, beating out other more well-recognized male beauty icons such as Idris Elba, Jason Momoa, even Michele Morone and Kim Tae-young, who were in their popularity primes last year. TC Chandler in a comment stated that he and 20 other independent reviewers based their face on more than just aesthetics, but rather grace, elegance, originality, daring, passion, class, poise, joy, promise and hope. How on earth do you measure which face shows more passion and poise than another? Another criticism I have of the list is that it shows conventionally popular people, all of which are well recognized and have their own Wikipedia pages. By talking about popular people, rather than truly aesthetic and handsome ones, such as, say, lesser known models or actors, for this list, it's more likely to appeal to the masses and be talked about in mainstream media. While Pewdiepie definitely has come a long way in terms of aesthetics and growth, I suspect that one of the reasons that he gained the top spot is partially for bringing publicity to the list, which certainly has worked, with Felix's reaction getting 7.8 million views, which is much more than the average even for him. The 2020 list also performed beyond average at 3.7 million, much of which we can only assume are from Pewdiepie's video. I highly doubt that these videos are coming from David Beckham's audience or Henry Cavill's, because they win it every year, so no surprises there. But with Felix winning it, it's controversial and controversy equals views. I touched a little on Pewdiepie's aesthetic journey, so let's try to make an argument for why he does or doesn't deserve the top spot. Going through the list, I've definitely noticed a stronger bias towards more masculine faces as you reach the top 10. There are plenty of feminine K-pop stars near the middle 50, with increased zygomatic projection, porcelain skin, larger than average lips, and narrower than average jaws, or what visually appears to be narrower due to having wide cheekbones. This gives them a much more tapered and rounded look, aka neotenous, compared to their sharp and angular masculine counterparts. With Pewdiepie, I don't think aesthetically he's the best looking on the list. There are men with better and thicker beard growth than him, there are men with lower hairlines that provide more balance to the facial thirds, and there are men with wider, sharper jaws that match the rest of their masculine features. However, if there ever was a most improved category, he would win it hands down because of how far he's come. This is 2014 Pewdiepie, and honestly I wanted to go back even further, but 2010 Felix barely had a face cam in his original Amnesia playthroughs, which is when I first started watching. His mop top hairstyle doesn't suit his tall and narrow, so leptoprosopic face shape, because it covered all of his forehead, which is a juvenile trait. The last person I've seen to do that at middle age is Marilyn Manson, and it doesn't suit if your hairline is receded due to natural male pattern baldness. That's why you see children with this type of haircut, and it's become associated with them as an immature haircut that wouldn't fly in a regular professional setting. Having a mop top also makes your face appear top heavy, like you're carrying a mini Pomerian on your head at all times. For men, it's often better to look older rather than younger, up to a limit, and here he can definitely benefit from some age, but I mean it suits his age and personality at the time, so there is no rush to grow up. So let's fast forward a bit more to 2017 to 2018 Pewds, and I think this is one of his worst years. His hairline is a lot more recessed and is in a transition phase of maturing his look and his content too, from game playthroughs to more reaction based content, which is a lot more palatable than a 200 episode playthrough, because no working young adult has time for that anymore. Back to his looks, I'm guessing he's around 27 here, which is when most men start to get decent beard growth, but for whatever reason, his doesn't seem to connect fully, and which could be why he didn't grow it out until much later. In this video, I'm not really commenting on his facial proportions or measurements because he hasn't had surgery, that I know of, to drastically change any of that, and so if that's a constant, then the only things he has changed are soft facial changes, such as facial hair, hairstyle, and musculature, to improve his looks. His facial features have almost always been quite sharp. Swedes typically don't hold much facial fat and have sharp features, likely due to diet and climate. Take for instance Mads Mikkelsen, who I know is Danish, and we've done a full breakdown of him here, but Pewdiepie is from Gothenburg, which isn't all that far from Denmark by ethnic group and geography. In fact, they share similar features of a square jaw angle, narrow and deep-set eyes, with a sloped forehead and the obvious light hair. Maz does have better facial harmony with his masculine features by having a wider jaw. Take note that all of the previous features that I mentioned, both between Felix and Maz, are strong masculine features, except the blonde hair, which is a negative as it turns out, because it gives you less contrast between your facial hair and skin, making it much harder to identify key landmarks like eyebrows. Having a wider jaw is what I think Pew's face is most lacking, and he addresses this by growing out his beard, leading us to 2016 to 2021 Felix. Before we move on, leave a like on this video down below, and in return I'll give you one crispy collage of young Pewdiepie. I think that's a pretty fair deal. Now, I say 2016 to 2021 Felix because Felix did have a full-grown beard as far back as 2016 and probably before, but I do think that the long hair on the top does more harm than good. Also, this is just a generally unflattering angle taken from below eye level, which shows his temporal recession more extremely, which is natural for 2 and 3 men, but given that his face is tall and narrow, you don't want to make it appear any more so by having a whole lot of bulk at the top of your head with shaved down sides. I found these additional pictures, which is just no bueno because the sides are grown out unevenly. Unless you have a Brad Pitt or Mads Mikkelsen level forehead, which is sloped like Pew's, but they're also much wider laterally outwards, and this makes the shape less rounded, then emphasizing your temporal recession with an overly slicked back hairline is unideal because then it just makes you look like Megamind. Also, the blonde hair dye really isn't doing him any favors when studies have shown that brown to black hair is most preferred on men. And here's another photo showing why having too much on the top isn't the best for his face shape and slope. In 2019-ish, he tried the Leo Messi style, which isn't his worst look. It's an improvement from no beard mop top 2014 Pewdiepie, but all I see is Logan Paul, and more than 50% of your face is covered by hair at this point, so I'd advise against it for obvious reasons. He even had a mid part, which is insanely trendy nowadays, but if you have a matured higher hairline naturally, then it's not going to age well, and it's not well suited. The mid part is almost exclusively well suited to people with very fine hair, as anything else will make it a bulky mess and not the smooth flowing locks that you see on K-pop boy bands. The best look in my opinion is the shaved head with a moderate beard. It has to be shaved and kept below a certain length, otherwise it can look a bit, well, crusty, and if you want to grow out your hair again, you should be getting the sides faded below the temples, so a low fade, and letting the top grow out incrementally rather than just not cutting it. Or you can be like Pew's and look like a nice Swedish dad, which is also perfectly fine. What I do like about this look is that by shaving the top off, the face is a lot less leptoprosopic, again tall and narrow, and by having less contrast in lengths between the top of the head and the sides, the temporal recession is a lot less noticeable. Here is another example with his self-claimed doppelganger, who has a lot more hair recession, but for once the hair isn't at fault here, rather just a lack of the right facial features. People have compared him to Ragnar, and you're going to tell me that this man isn't the most masculine looking thing you've ever seen? The "just shave it off bro" meme has some truth to it, but it's not for everyone, which is why many people get annoyed by the comment, but it is well suited for Pewdiepie's shape. Before I end this video, I want to touch on his most recent modeling shots that were used for the 2020 Handsome list. It's not a proper modeling pic in the sense of a studio, photography, makeup and lighting, but it has all of the right elements, and I can see why it deserves to be high up on the list. The picture is color graded and has natural sunlight so that Felix looks more tan and consistent, and then is squinting at the camera so it looks much more menacing, such that his eyes appear even more narrow and deep set. Again, all very masculine features. He's at a 3/4 turn, which for most people is their most attractive angle, as it hides weaknesses in the jaw width, which you would only see from the front, and weaknesses in the jaw angle, which you would see from a side profile. He has light stubble, which again was rated as the most attractive for men's facial hair by women, with blended sides and messy, unstyled hair at the top, which is a lot less bulky than his regular pompadour style, although I do think that with shaved hair, he could look like a potential male model under the right conditions. And so lastly, he's at very low body fat. It's quite obvious. Judging by the ab separation, I would say anywhere from 10 to 12%, with a pump from recently doing a few push-ups for the photo, judging by the vascularity seen only at his arms. What I'm trying to say is that he's very facially lean, which is a prerequisite to even be on the list, and then has used lighting, angle, and post-production to make his way up to the top. While I disagree that he should be first, he definitely deserves to be high up on the list. I don't want this video to be taken as criticism of PewDiePie or anyone shown here. It's to educate the audience on how you can take advantage of soft changes, such as hair and musculature, and then combine them with photogenic qualities such as angles and lighting to make huge strides in your looks, all without surgery. And with that, we bring this video to a close. Again, a reminder to leave a like for the video to help the algorithm, and if you enjoy the content, then do subscribe for more facial aesthetics and looks-based research. We're trying out a new, more relaxed format for recording by doing it all live in one take in a more reactionary way to get content out faster. Leave below in the comments or let us know on Instagram what you would like to get our opinions on next, and we're still working on the podcast, which will be coming out soon. As always, you can order an aesthetics report and get over 7,000 words of technical feedback on your looks over at the Coop's website, written by our team of doctors and estheticians.